Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel once again. Now today I'm going to be doing things a little more casual. I'm going to be updating you guys on a few of the cases that I have covered in the past. A lot of people have shared these updates with me for the past year or so, and I was even updated by one of the officers involved in one of these cases. I have been planning to do these case updates for a while now, but sometimes life just gets in the way. So thank you for coming back if you are a longtime viewer, and thank you as well to anyone watching this who is new. I'm excited to have you guys here, and I'm excited about the possible help that we can continue to bring to these cases. So with that all out of the way, let's just discuss the updates. For each of today's updates, I'm going to be giving you a super brief overview of the case involved, but I would highly suggest to anyone who hasn't seen my previous videos on these cases or who isn't familiar with the cases in any other way that you go back and you watch those videos. I will leave links to each of those original videos in the description box down below. Now, as always, you can find my sources for those videos in the pinned comment under each of those cases, and you will also be able to find the new sources for today's updates pinned in the top comment below this video. Let's start with one of the biggest cases that I have an update for you on. That is the case of Christian Taylor Ferguson. Christian went missing on June 11th while he was in the custody of his father, Dwan Ferguson, who claimed that he had left Christian in the car while he called Christian's doctor from a payphone. Dwan claimed that while he was on the phone, someone else stole the car. They thereby kidnapped Christian. Now, Christian has never been seen since. Now, Christian suffered from something called argininosuccinate synthetase deficiency. I think I got that right. This required that he take numerous medications and that he maintain a very strict diet just to sustain his life. Now, at the time of his disappearance, his mother, Theda, was suing for custody of Christian and his brother. So upon researching the case, it seemed clear to me that there was a pattern of neglect from Dwan Ferguson toward Christian, and in the end, I highly believed, as many others did, that it was most likely that Dwan Ferguson had something to do with his son's disappearance. For an in-depth look into the case, I would highly suggest that you watch my previous video on it because there is a lot that I'm having to leave out right now. So when it comes to updates in Christian's case, his father, Dwan Ferguson, was arrested and charged with first-degree murder on October 3rd of 2019. It has since been revealed that he is not only facing these charges, but he is also being charged with the sexual assault of 2 minors. Now, according to Ferguson's ex-wife, Dwan had sexually abused 2 of her nieces for an undisclosed period of time in which one of those young girls actually became pregnant with Dwan's child. So in relation to Christian's case specifically, the public has not been informed as to what led specifically to Dwan Ferguson's arrest. So I'm unsure if there is new evidence that finally came up that allowed them to arrest Dwan, or if they just decided that they had enough circumstantial evidence to fully convict him in a court of law, finally. At the end of January 2020, Dwan attempted to petition the court for a speedy trial, but prosecutors argued that they were against this and they cited that Ferguson had waited far too long to request it. Now, as announced in June 2020, I believe that a murder trial date had in fact been set for Dwan Ferguson. His trial will begin on March 8th of 2021. It appears that Ferguson is currently trying to petition the court for a bench trial rather than a jury trial, but I don't have any confirmation on a court response to that specific request. So for anyone familiar with this case, you may be as hopeful as I am that we are finally about to see justice for Christian and for his mother and for his brother and for all of his family and friends who have been seeking answers for nearly 2 decades now. Though we are seeing progress in this case, I would still urge anyone that might have any information in Christian's disappearance to contact the St. Louis Police Department. You can do that at 314-444-5620. Now, another big case update that we need to discuss is the identification of Belle in the well. On April 22nd, 1981, the body of a woman was discovered in a well in Lawrence, Ohio. Jane Doe became known as Belle in the Well or Chesapeake Jane Doe. She had been strangled, deposited in the well, and weighed down by a cinder block connected to a rope tied around her neck. On July 29, 2019, Belle in the Well finally reclaimed her name, Louise Virginia Peterson Flesher. Louise regained her name through the efforts of the DNA Doe Project, who I have spoken about when I covered her case, and who I also spoke about recently when I covered the case of the Grundy County Jane Doe. The DNA Doe Project was able to make a familial DNA match through Ancestry DNA, and that was uploaded through GEDmatch, GED Match. So, unfortunately, while Louise may have her name back, we still don't know who murdered her, and the case is still open as a homicide. So, if you have any information about Louise's case, I would strongly urge you to contact the Lawrence County Coroner's Office. You can do that at 740-533-0202. The next two updates I have for you guys are a little smaller, but I did receive a lot of messages from you all about these cases. So let's start with the update on the Dewan Sims case. Now, Dewan Sims went missing, and this was December 11th of 1994 from Wonderland Mall in Livonia, Michigan. Dewan Sims's mother, Dewana, claimed that she had gone to the mall with her son that day and that he had gone missing at some point inside that mall. One of the larger details of this case is the fact that CCTV footage appears to show that Dewana's story is not true. It never shows Dewan having entered the mall that day with his mother as she had claimed. Now, to this day, Dewana sticks by her story, and she does still claim that her son disappeared from Wonderland Mall. However, many people believe that there is a chance that she has something to do with Dewan's disappearance, and that the story of the mall may have been made up. Now, again, there is a good bit of information that I'm having to leave out here, so I would definitely suggest that you go back and watch the original video on this case if you're wanting to know more. Now for the update. Back in late 2019, a man came forward claiming that he believed he was Dewan Sims in a post on Facebook, of all places. Now, there was a lot of attention about this in the true crime community, but unfortunately, there hasn't been much of anything new on this update since the man came forward. So according to news reports, this man ended up providing a sample of his DNA to the Livonia police for comparison, but I have not been able to find any reports on any results, at least none that have been released publicly. If you have any information in relation to Dewan Sims's case, I would highly suggest that you contact the Livonia Police Department. You can do that at 313-421-1920. Now, the next update I have for you all is in relation to the Thomasboro Jane Doe. The body of a woman was discovered on May 1st of 1995 at the edge of a farmer's field off of Champaign Road near Thomasboro, Illinois. It was determined that the woman had died months earlier, and though there wasn't any identifiable cause of death, investigators do believe it was a homicide. So recently, new information has been released in this case. New DNA testing has provided some more information on Jane Doe herself. So she may have been in one of the following areas prior to her death. That is southeastern Illinois, Nashville, Tennessee, Springfield, Missouri, or a region just north of Topeka, Kansas. She may have also lived long-term in one of these following areas. That would be northern Arkansas, Huntsville, Alabama, Springfield, Missouri, or Topeka, Kansas. The isotope testing that revealed this information also tells investigators that Jane Doe may have lived in one of these areas for up to about 5 years prior to her death. So according to investigators, in a statement from October of 2019, they are working on comparing Jane Doe's DNA to a list of 35 possible matching cases. And in addition to all of this, a new sketch of what Jane Doe actually may look like has been released. So, the Champaign County Sheriff's Office is still searching for Jane Doe's name, and they are hoping to discover what really happened to her as well. So if you have any information in relation to Jane Doe's case, I would highly suggest that you contact the Champaign County Sheriff's Office at 217-384-1204. Though there isn't a lot to update you on in this next case, it is still unsolved, and the families of these girls involved deserve answers and justice. This case is largely known as the Delphi murders. On February 13th of 2017, Abigail Williams and Liberty German were enjoying time off of school by walking a hiking path near the Monon High Bridge, and that is a trail in the Delphi Historic Trails. Now, the girls never appeared at the other end of the trail where they were to be picked up. The next day, their bodies were discovered. There had been a lot of attention on this case, particularly because the girls may have captured video and audio of their possible attacker. So there are a lot of details in this case, and there has been a lot of public push to solve it since it happened, not only from the community where these girls grew up, but also from people just all over the country. So if you aren't familiar with this case, I would highly suggest watching the original videos that I have already done on it. And as far as updates are concerned, there has been a new suspect sketch that has been released by the police. So they're still looking for a white male between 5'6" and 5'10" tall, weighing between 180 to 200 pounds, and with reddish-brown hair. Law enforcement also believes that he may be between the ages of his mid-20s to his mid-30s. So at one point, officers were looking for information relating to a driver of a car that was abandoned in a parking lot, I believe, and this was at 6931 West 300 North in Delphi between noon and 5 p.m. on February 13th of 2017. Unfortunately, details of the car have not been released by police. In addition to the new suspect sketch, the police have also released updated audio and video from the girls' phones, which I will play for you now.
Guys, downhill. Guys, downhill. Guys, downhill.
Now, if you have any information in relation to this case, I would highly urge you to submit that information. You can do so by emailing Abby and Libby Tip at cacoshrf.com. The last case update I have for you is a little bit of a strange one. I covered the case of Kim Wall in December of 2017. Kim Wall was a journalist who had gone missing on August 10th of 2017, and this was after she was last seen to have boarded a submarine to interview a man named Peter Madsen. Now, Kim was never seen alive again. In the end, it turned out that Peter Madsen had murdered Kim Wall on his submarine. He dismembered her body, and he dumped different portions of her in different areas of a bay in Copenhagen. While Madsen had been arrested at the time that I did cover this case, I never did get to give you an update on the full story. In March of 2018, the trial of Peter Madsen began. Now, just a month later, he was convicted of the premeditated murder and sexual assault of Kim Wall. He was given a life sentence. I have since found out that a life sentence in Denmark is quite different from one here in the States. What I was able to find statistics-wise is that on average, those serving a life sentence in Denmark are only serving about 16 years. So it is my hope that Peter Madsen is going to be serving a lot more time than that. Of course, I'm not well versed in the legal system in Denmark, so please excuse me if I've made a mistake here and I am completely misinformed on this. Feel free to let me know in the comments down below. I do try to be as accurate as I can. In a bit of stranger news related to Peter Madsen, he got married in December of 2019. Madsen married a Russian artist who was working on a project about the Peter Madsen that people didn't know. That was in mid-2018. So according to the BBC, by the fall of 2018, she had decided that she needed Peter Madsen's cooperation for the project. So she began a line of personal communication with him, and eventually the two got married. Now, this woman has gone on to describe Madsen as the most beautiful, smart, talented, devoted, and emphatic person. Seeing as he did murder a woman and dismember her, I think it's safe to say that none of that is true. Personally, this woman's obsession with Madsen just reminds me a lot of Carol Ann Boone, who had an obsession with Ted Bundy and also ended up marrying him while he was in jail and having his baby. So I've never done a case updates video before, so feel free to let me know in the comments, did you like them? Is this something that you would like to see more of when there are multiple updates that I can give you guys in a single video? If you also didn't like this video, I would definitely like to know that in the comments down below. If you guys would rather search for those case updates on your own and not get them from me, I completely understand. I just need to know so that I know what kind of videos you guys want to keep seeing. But of course, as always, please remember to stay respectful in the comments down below. And as always, my sources, like I said earlier, will be pinned in the top comment underneath of this video. And as I said at the top of this video, I will have the links to all of the previous videos related to these cases in the description box down below. Now, please help me to continue putting these cases back out there in the public eye by sharing. Now, whether that be by sharing this video or sharing any of the sources that I've provided down below, just keep sharing. The chances are that somebody somewhere knows something about one of these cases that I've covered or another person has covered. And by sharing this video, someone else's video, these sources around on the internet, we might get somebody to see them who knows something about the case, and it might be able to crack that case wide open. So finally, thank you so much for watching today's video, and I will see you all again soon for another.